Welcome to Real Talk. I am your host, Paul Britton. Uh, you're just gonna have to trust me that it's Real Talk. Missing all of my banners and things that would appear around the edges, and I apologize for that. I logged in to set up the studio today, and they were gone, and I didn't think that was a big enough thing to be like, well, I'm going to delay doing the podcast today. I'm ready to go today. We're doing it. We're doing it in with a little bit of I wouldn't call it adversity, maybe vagarity or yeah, something along those lines. Anyway, tonight we're going to be talking about I've got 3 movies to look at, 2 theatrical releases and a streamer. The 2 theatrical releases, one came out last week and it was Robert Zemeckis' latest movie Here. And then the other one was one released this week, and it was Hugh Grant in Heretic. 2 very different movies that will appear next to each other or adjacent near each other alphabetically forever. That is what will link them. That and the fact that they were released in consecutive weeks. We're gonna so that's where we get why we have Heretic. It's funny, and I'm just gonna appreciate it. We're gonna start with Robert Zemeckis's Here, and I want to start with just a little like Robert Zemeckis, oh my God, he's Robert Zemeckis moment here, and so listen to the movies that he, starting in 1984, he had a couple of smaller movies, low budget studio comedies, and then we have Romancing the Stone, Back to the Future, that's 84, 85 Back to the Future, 88 Who Framed Roger Rabbit, 89 Back to the Future 2, 90 Back to the Future 3. All right, that's insane, but it doesn't stop. He has Death Becomes Her, which there it has its following. It's definitely a cult classic. At the time, it wasn't very well received. I'm still not a fan. Whatever, it's fine. Then okay, but then we go to Forrest Gump in 94, and then we have Contact in 97, which is amazing. What Lies Beneath in 2000, but 2000 also brings us Castaway. That is a 16-year run with only 2 movies that you would be like, meh, I don't know. And everyone else being like, yes, let's put that in immediately. Let's sit down and watch that movie. That was amazing. And since then, he's had ups and downs. His best movie since then was definitely Flight in 2012. A fantastic Denzel Washington performance and one of the all-time greatest after Castaway, one of the all-time greatest airplane near crashes, and just a lot of like things that are like, I don't know, really, is that where we're going? Just a lot of head scratchers, a lot of oddness of what are we going for here, until we get to Here, and that's where we are. So that is Robert Zemeckis, and so so the thing, some of the common threads you're going to notice is that he loves to tackle huge themes without really going too in depth in those themes, like big ideas. He loves technology, all of his movies throughout, there is something technologically interesting about them going on, and that is just a super common theme throughout. Also, he's a little schmaltzy, like, I would accuse it, and you could make the accusation of sort of boomer nostalgia porn. And I have in this space in the past, I have belittled movies that I felt were a little too much boomer nostalgia porn. And but he does boomer nostalgia porn with a perfect blend of schmaltziness that works for me. And I'm not going to apologize for liking his schmaltziness. Like that's just who Robert Zemeckis is, and here delivers on that. Here delivers on this idea that on delivers on this idea of big themes, schmaltziness, and also the technological. And in this case, it's just a visual like craziness. So the concept of here is that a camera is cemented in place in one location, um and the entire movie, from the dawn of time through present day, the entire movie takes place in the view from this one little spot. And in the at the turn of the century, 1900s, a house is built on this spot, and that's where 90% of the movie takes place, is inside this house that is built in the 1900. And uh with 5 primary families driving the narrative, six primary families driving the, we'll call it the narrative, even though this movie is super light on narrative, and but because it's going super heavy on themes. And I liked that. Like, that was one of the things that worked for me. And so if you're, because of the time jumps, and really what it's going for with the time jumps is this idea that, families are different, but the what happens to a family, the major milestones of a family are constant. Like, the general struggles of a family, even though very different in time, uh, are huge and important. And it's captivating. I'm just going to be honest. I was captivated by those time jumps and the linkage, even though it's really freaking schmaltzy. Like, and here's the thing is the I have a general rule. If a movie makes me cry, I have to give it credit. Like, and yeah, okay, I might cry. I probably cry a little easier than most. I'm a little sentimental, but also, if you manage to build something that has genuine sentimentality in it, I think that needs to be rewarded. So the 6 families that are tracked are there. The first family is a pre-colonial days family. And by the way, this is either Western Pennsylvania or Eastern Pennsylvania or New Jersey, somewhere around there. And there is a native, a native tribe, a native couple that pick this spot where the camera is located as an important spot for them. And then there is a colonial times family who built a bit of a, we'll call it a plantation, call it what it is, builds a plantation on this site with a huge manor house. And then there is basically the first residence of the turn of the century, the 1900s house. And then there is a World War II era. There's the World War II era family, and then there is the family after them, the post World War II, which is a young family where the father, and this is where Tom Hanks's family comes in. The young family, who the father is a World War II veteran, and I'll say 80% of the movie tracks this family from when Tom Hanks is basically a fetus when we are introduced to this couple looking at this house, and then Tom Hanks continues to live in this, raises his family reluctantly in this house. and then they sell it to an African American couple, an African American family, uh, and so you really get sort of different views on times and stuff, but the general themes of, hey, all these families have their own struggles. Their struggles are relatable. They're similar, but they're different. And it's either going to work for you or it's not. Yeah, like that. That's all I can say about this movie is the sentimentality is there on the surface. They don't try to hide it. They're not trying to mask it in any way, shape, or form. It's there. That is what is there. And so you need to decide, am I going in for that sentimentality? And the other thing is, am I buying into the non-narrative sort of time hopping? I love both. I bought into both. It's not a perfect movie by any stretch of the imagination. Uh, Tom Hanks is super Tom Hanksy, and it's nice to see him with Robin Wright. She does an amazing job too. Uh, but yeah, look, here at Real Talk, we do ratings based on tacos, not stars. And if we feel like it deserves a little bit extra on top of a full taco rating, we add guac rather than doing half a taco. Why? Because nobody eats half a fucking taco. So for here, I'm doing 3 tacos plus guac. And I'm not even going to apologize for it. It's not going to make my top 10 list at the end of the year, but it's absolutely going to be a movie that, for people who love sentimental schmaltzy fun, no, not maybe not fun, but emotional and thematically interesting movies. Yeah, I'm going to say watch this one. The next movie I saw over the weekend at the theater was Heretic, starring Hugh Grant. And this is a horror thriller. The trailer tells you quite a lot about what's going on here. The story is a pair of Mormon female missionaries. I guess they're missionaries in a you get the idea, you get the feeling that they're in the Pacific Northwest somewhere on their mission, and they visit the house of Hugh Grant, who has expressed interest in learning more about the Church of Latter-day Saints. And they are welcomed into the home with the promise that Hugh Grant's wife will be joining them momentarily. And we quickly, just within the context of the movie, find out that, one, Hugh Grant isn't just interested in the Church of Latter-day Saints. He's interested in all religion, and he has a lot of opinions about it. And you're going to hear his opinions. And so, quick comment on horror in general and thrillers, but horror in general is the main thrust of what a horror movie does is it builds up tension, builds up tension, builds up tension, and then you get a release of the tension. That is the thrill ride that is a horror movie. And the release of the difference between like, say, just a drama and a horror is that in a drama, the tension is built out throughout. The release of the tension is never abrupt. It's always the release of the tension is through the means of storytelling, and not through the means of a sudden and unexpected event happening that causes you to just release all your tension. And there are lots of different ways that in a horror movie you can build up tension, and a lot of times music helps. But the fact that there is a bad guy or a hidden or unknown entity or thing, unseen, or either by you, the viewer, or unseen by the characters in the movie, that is usually the source of tension. The thing that was interesting about Heretic was that the source of the tension buildup is through ideas and the conveyance of those ideas. And it's literally like watching uh your uncle and cousin having a fight at in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner. And it's not just any fight, it's like a fight about religion. And that's the tension that is built up. It's just this really uncomfortable conversation that people are having that you can tell half of the party of the conversation don't necessarily want to be having the conversation in the way that it's being presented, and the other half are so dead set on driving the conversation forward and directing it in a certain track that it's full steam ahead, we're not stopping. And I it's it really is stressful watching Hugh Grant have these treatises on religion with these two really young uh Mormon missionaries, uh and then to see them not stop being emotionally trapped and then becoming physically trapped, that it flips into a pretty standard horror thriller. And honestly, like, I loved the first two acts because of the way the tension was being built up. And then when it turns into a pretty standard, like, okay, well, now we know the girls are trapped and they need to figure out their way out. And okay, Hugh Grant isn't actually intellectually curious. He's just, you know, a bit of an asshole and with really strong opinions who likes to manipulate people. And it's like, oh well, there's lots of movies about people like that. I don't know how you make a movie that is based strictly on entirely on uncomfortable uncomfortable conversations and thought experiments, um without falling into the standard horror tropes of people in distress. uh but I would have loved to have seen them try. As it is, I did like this movie. It was it was four tacos leading up to the like final 20 minutes, and then it kind of meh. Okay, that's how you're ending it. That's fine. Which evens out to nice three tacos. It's good. I would absolutely watch it again. Heretic is 100% worth watching again. Now let's really quickly do now streaming on Netflix. Oh my goodness. Hold on one second. I'm gonna fix that. We're just gonna do live fix because it's gonna annoy the crap out of me forever. Um, Hey, it's now streaming on Netflix. Don't Move. Okay. Speaking of horror movies that make you uncomfortable, we have Don't Move. It's probably more of a thriller. This is a serial killer thriller. Like that's just what it is. So a woman shows up in the woods, deep in the woods, on the edge of a cliff, and is stepping precariously close to the edge of the cliff. She doesn't look happy, and she's confronted by a man who stops her from taking another step. And he gains her confidence in that way, and then takes advantage of that confidence to uh, provide her with a paralyzing drug that makes it so that she can't move. She has all of her senses except for movement. And so and that's what the movie is. And so it's just, how is she, over time, she will slowly gain her faculties back. How does she do that? Let's find out more about, uh, let's find out more about the serial killer and the fact that, oh, he's just a normal guy, but he has this weird, quirky thing about being a serial killer. Um, you know, there are worse things on streaming on Netflix. I did, you know, I thoroughly enjoyed the comeuppance ending, the third act. Thoroughly enjoyed the third act. Not so much the second act. So I think based on that, we're just gonna say 2 tacos plus guac. It's worth a watch. It's not gonna hurt you any to watch it. All right, that's all we got for you this week on Real to Real Talk. Next week, I am so giddy. Next week is the return of Kristen, and if you've ever watched if you've ever watched you know this show with Kristen on it, you're in for a treat. If you're new, let me tell you, you're in for a treat. We're gonna be doing Honora next week, so it's gonna be worth it. I'm telling you, right? I've already seen it. It's gonna be worth it. So thank you so much for stopping by. I'm your host, Paul Britton. This is Really Real Talk. Hope to see you again next week. Thanks, everybody.